hope all is well. I hope all is well. I'm a couple of minutes late, but I am here. And let me get all my stuff up here. I'm a little sleepy, y'all, a little groggy, but I'm here. Let me get all my stuff up. I hope all is well. Make sure to like the live, make sure to subscribe. And we are going to be talking through managing uncertainty. So I did a poll, I want to say 2 weeks back, on what we may want to cover on our lives, and managing uncertainty came in number 2. So I'm going to touch base on that one today. We have 6 affirmations all on that topic. So I hope that they are helpful. This is your first time. My name is Debbie. I am a certified meditation coach and the coach that you hear on the channel. So if you are subscribed to Haven Inspired, the voice you hear is my voice. These lives are every Monday. So every Monday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, where we talk through different topics regarding mindfulness and our mental health. And I usually share affirmations and just kind of give you some insight on each one. So yeah, if this is your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm excited to talk about this topic because this topic is, I feel like, a very important one, and it's something that is common, but definitely is hard to master. So I'm excited to really talk through this a little bit more. Feel free to use these affirmations however you wish to. If you want to write them down in your journal, if you want to put them on your mirror, if you want to record yourself saying them, if you actually want to put them in something that you actually going to listen to. So a lot of times people like to record themselves and then listen back to it. So feel free to use the affirmations however you want to. Feel free to change the language however you want to. If you need for it to make more sense for you, feel free to do that also. And yeah, this is interactive, so feel free to ask me questions if you have any. If you have any comments or need me to repeat anything or anything like that, definitely let me know. So just to kind of talk through the 6, we have 6 affirmations. Number 1 is, I embrace uncertainty as an opportunity for growth and learning. I embrace uncertainty as an opportunity for growth and learning. So that's number 1. So that's just really just a way for us to really take the time to embrace uncertainty. I think a lot of times uncertainty just generates fear, which is a common human response to uncertainty. But taking the time to shift our mindsets to how is this an opportunity for me to evolve? How is this an opportunity for me to be a better version of myself? How is this an opportunity for change? I feel like a lot of times people think that if there is no change, that it's a good thing, or if there is nothing evolving or changing, or we're content, that it's a good thing. And actually, if we're not growing, then what are we actually doing, right? If we're meant to grow, and if we're meant to evolve, and we're meant to become better versions of ourselves each day, if that's not happening, then what's happening? There's a decline, right? We're never really plateauing. We're either progressing or we're degressing. So, just thinking about how you can embrace uncertainty, and when those opportunities come, I'll call them opportunities. When those opportunities come, thinking of how you can grow in that situation, and how you can evolve, and how you can learn in that situation. So that was number 1. Let me make sure that I have Just 1 second here as I get my, okay, there we go. So that was number one. Number two, I am resilient, capable, and resourceful in the face of uncertainty. I am resilient, capable, and resourceful in the face of uncertainty. So when it comes to resilience and understanding our capabilities and understanding our resources, those are the keys to mastering. I wouldn't say mastering because we're never going to be perfect, but I would say that's the key to navigating uncertainty and being confident and comfortable in that space. Being comfortable being outside of the norm, just being able to step out of our bounds and just kind of going head first into those situations, and remembering that we have resilience and utilizing that resilience in those times, but also remembering what our capabilities are, what our limits are, what our boundaries are, and in that, using our resources. So I think a lot of times when it comes to navigating uncertainty, we get frustrated and burned out, and of course that's already a frustrating and hard situation at times, but I think we add more to it by not utilizing our resources, not understanding our abilities and capabilities, not understanding our strengths and weaknesses, and we end up taking on things that we're not necessarily meant to take on. And because of that, that creates more uncertainty and that creates more frustration. And then our resilience starts to waver. And then, then it becomes even more of a stressful situation. So it is definitely about being resilient and practicing your resilience, right? But it also is understanding your limitations and understanding what your abilities and what your capabilities are. And in those areas that we're weak, or in those areas that they're not our strengths, or in those areas that we need to learn more, we lean on our resources to navigate through that uncertainty versus just navigating it with ourselves. So making sure that we educate ourselves in that particular area. We, lean on people that know more about the situation or the area than we do. And even if we don't know anyone in that area, like finding someone, looking for mentors, looking for resources. Sometimes it's not about finding the information; it's just more so about finding the person who has the information. So more about knowing where to look versus how to do. I guess that's the best way to explain it. So yeah, so when it comes to navigating uncertainty, practicing your resilience, knowing your capabilities, and in your knowing of your capabilities, looking through your resources and leaning on your resources when you are falling short in whatever area that is. So that was number two. I am resilient, capable, and resourceful in the face of uncertainty. Number three, I release the need for control and face uncertainty with an open heart and mind. I release the need for control and face uncertainty with an open heart and mind. Hi, Hiru. Nice to see you. We're on number three. I release the need of control and face uncertainty with an open heart and mind. So with this one, a lot of times we find ourselves frustrated with uncertainty because we're trying to control situations that don't belong to us to control, if that makes sense. And sometimes we're taking on the offenses of others, we're taking on the issues of others, and because of that, it creates more uncertainty. And then even with it creating more uncertainty, it doesn't allow us to actually handle the actual issue that we have to deal with, because we piled on so many other issues and problems on top of the problem that we already have, to where now we're trying to control everything instead of us controlling what we can control. So this affirmation is more so of a reminder to move out and weed out the things that we can't control and focus on the actual issues at hand. It, yes, of course, is still an uncertainty, but it hasn't. It's we're actually dealing with the problem versus us dealing with the masks of the problem. So I release the need for control and face uncertainty with an open heart and mind. So with that releasing of the control, it allows us to face the uncertainty, and then we can be open about it, right? A lot of times, because we're trying to control everything, we're not even able to really think outside of the box or be open or think of different solutions to the problem. But once we are able to actually narrow things down to what the actual issue is, then we can have a little bit more of an open mind and an open heart to kind of navigate and find a solution. Because of the fact now it's more nuanced, right? Now we know exactly what the problem is, and now we know if it's something that we can control or we can't control, and we to look at the things that we can control, and that's where we start when it comes to navigating uncertainty. Focus on what you can control, and it's hard, but letting go of what we cannot control. That will relieve a lot of the stress of us trying to fix a particular situation. And I think also too, just embracing the fact that uncertainty is a natural thing. It's a natural thing for us to navigate within this human experience. And when we think about it that way, when it comes, it's not a surprise. It's not going to be a surprise that, things change. It's not going to be a surprise that there's going to be things that may be a little bit convoluted or confusing, or, sometimes problems may come up. We all know that all of those things are common human experiences. Why we get surprised when they happen? I don't know. Maybe it's just because we're so used to. I'm gonna say we because it's me too. Maybe because we're so used to our day to day, and our day to day sometimes is very redundant. You wake up, you get dressed, you get a shower, you get dressed, you eat your breakfast, you go to work, you come home, you watch some TV, you go to bed, and that's the common thing. You do that every day, and when something interrupts that, good or bad, it automatically is a surprise. But we actually should expect for changes and uncertainties to come. Another thing that you can kind of master uncertainties is actually putting yourself in situations of uncertainty, not like on purpose, like a self-sabotage way, but a way for you to challenge yourself. So like when it comes to, or something that just kind of just takes you out of your comfort zone. So when it comes to like something at work, something that you've always wanted to do, but you've always been afraid to do it because of whatever uncertainties that lie behind it, challenging yourself and saying, hey, yeah, I can volunteer for that, or I can do this, or this is a new space at work and it's something that someone is going to have to learn a new function to do. That's something I want to do. That's something I would like to try and understand. Like, hey, like I'll do it. Like intentionally putting yourself in positive uncertainties is what I like to call it, is a way for you to get used to being uncomfortable. And the more that you're used to being uncomfortable, the more that that doesn't scare you or create any fears, the easier it will be for you to navigate uncertainties or issues when they come. A lot of times we have such a hard time managing uncertainties because we're just too comfortable. We're too comfortable with where we are. And comfort is another common human experience where your nervous system is going to automatically gravitate towards what's comfortable, right? But if you have lived in trauma, right? Trauma is comfortable, right? So if you've lived in chaos all of your life, then you'll see that chaos is comfort. So when you have quiet, that's uncomfortable for you. So understanding that comfort isn't always healthy, And sometimes we have to intentionally take ourselves out of our comfort zone in order for us to grow, but also in order for us to build resilience. And a lot of times people have a hard time building resilience because they just are continuously, day in and day out, just basking in comfort. I know that sounds weird because most of the times you're like, I want to be comfortable. Like, that's what I want. Like, that's easier. But it is easier, but when challenges come, those are even more difficult than they would have to be if we kind of not set ourselves up, but if we put ourselves in situations to where we have to practice being in some type of uncertainty or being uncomfortable, right? So for me, being uncomfortable could be going up to somebody at the grocery store and asking them a question. It doesn't have to be crazy, guys. Like, it doesn't have to be out of this world as far as like the things that you're choosing, but it can be just little things that you can think of where it's like, I don't want to do that because it's uncomfortable. Well, why is it uncomfortable? Like, just challenging your thoughts. Like, okay, this is uncomfortable. I don't want to do it. Why? Just asking yourself why. And if it's a silly reason as to why, challenge yourself into moving into that space. And pace yourself. I'm not talking about doing nothing willy-nilly. I'm just saying, just based off of like whatever your comfort levels are, thinking about ways that you can push the envelope a little bit to bring yourself out of it. Because the more you do it, when uncertainty comes, it may make you a little bit more resilient in navigating it. I don't know what number that was. That was number 3. I think. Number 3 or number 4? I can't remember because I went on a rampage. Number 3 was I released the need for control and face uncertainty with an open heart and mind. Number 4 is I am stronger than my doubts and fears and face uncertainty with courage. I guess I kind of went into it without saying the actual affirmation, but yes, making sure that we understand that our fears we are stronger than our doubts and our fears, and we have the ability to push past those fears and doubts. And it goes back to the quote of feel the fear but do it anyway. And it also goes back to, I think, a couple of, I can't recall when I talked about this, but just talking about how excitement and fear releases the same hormones in the body, right? So your body doesn't know the difference. Your mind is what tells you the difference when you feel that feeling. So tricking your mind to say, when this hormone is released in my body, this is always excitement, versus it being sometimes fear, sometimes excitement. And that can help as far as like having you push through your doubts and fears. And face that uncertainty with courage and confidence. And how do you get there? It goes back to intentionally taking yourself out of your comfort zone. And that breaks up the monotony of the day. There are times where it's like, I'm an introvert sometimes, and then I'm an extrovert sometimes. I don't know what that's called. Is it an ambivert? I think I might have made that up. But sometimes I'm an extrovert, sometimes I'm an introvert. And what I've noticed is I'm mostly an extrovert when I'm around other extroverts. If I'm in a group of extroverts where a lot of people are just outgoing, then I'm outgoing because that energy is kind of like making me an extrovert. But if I'm in a group of like mixed company when it comes to introverts and extroverts, or just by myself, if I'm by myself, I'm typically very introverted. So like one of the things that I've been just kind of forcing myself to do is to talk to people when I'm out, especially when I'm out alone. Whether it be if I see someone with cute shoes, or if I see someone that's doing something that, I'm inspired by, whether it be it's like if I just see someone on the street singing or playing music or whatever, I make an effort to push past my introvertedness and give that person a compliment or to spark up a conversation. Or sometimes I'll spark up a conversation with someone that's checking me out at the store. I'll ask them questions just to kind of get myself out of that thought process of I'm in my own little bubble and the world evolves around me and this is the bubble and I'm gonna stay in this bubble. So that's my way of forcing myself getting out of my comfort zone. So when it comes to like facing uncertainty with courage, it's like that. Intentionally putting yourself in situations of discomfort in order to help yourself navigate the uncertainty. Um, so yes. Anything else on that one? Oh, and I think the other thing too, and I've said this before, is that using your fear as a teacher of what you need to learn more about or of what you need to dive into more or whatever that fear that pops up can be a teacher of this is something that makes me uncomfortable. Maybe I should dive into it a little bit more so I'm not as uncomfortable. So using that fear as a teacher versus it being an actual fear, right? Of I'm scared, I'm afraid of this particular situation, or I'm afraid of this particular person or environment. So allowing your fears to be teachers versus it being something that makes you to run away or a deterrent. So that will I'll keep yeah, I'll keep that one for number 4. But number 5, we got 2 more. Number 5 is I am worthy of peace and stability even during uncertain times. I am worthy of peace and stability even during uncertain times. I am worthy of peace and stability even during uncertain times. Uncertain times doesn't have to mean chaos. Uncertain times doesn't need to be chaotic or confusing or it doesn't have to equate to just a really hard, rough time. Uncertain times just means just that the things are just uncertain. We're living in uncertain times now. You know what I mean? Like there's some things that we don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we still go to work, we still get up, we still have fun, we still go out, we still, go, eat good food or whatever. We still enjoy life. So I think when people think of uncertain times, that it has to be this crazy, confusing, frustrating time. But we currently live in days of uncertainty. We lived through a pandemic. That was like 3 years of uncertainty. But we navigated through it. And I think sometimes when it comes to uncertainty, when it comes to some situations, we're okay, but then when it comes to other situations, we're not. And figuring out a way to understand our worth and our peace and our stability is still can be a part of life, even during those uncertain times, is another thing that would be great to master and understand. Again, it's easier said than done, by all means. I'm not just dismissing a lot of uncertain times. I just navigated, for example, I just navigated a layoff and was laid off and was going back and forth through working contracts and things for about a year or so. Still working a contract. I'm working a contract now and in school actually, because of the fact that the industry I'm in is just very uncertain right now. Managing uncertain times. So with that, I made adjustments. Financially, I made adjustments. Career-wise, I ended up deciding to go back to school. I made adjustments just like within my life and my day-to-day, and giving myself different resources for income. So just in case one thing falls apart, I got this. And then if that falls apart, then I have this. And then if that falls apart, I have this. So I just set myself up for success because of the uncertain times, and just made decisions based off of what are my resources, right? What can I do now? What can I control? and made decisions based off of that. So even now, I'm still in the uncertainty of, yeah, I'm working a contract. The contract is until August. I have a second part-time job that I actually is a passion project, which is exciting. So if that falls apart, then I have that. I monetized on YouTube, so that's, something that I'm able to also make money on. That's another backup plan. And then I'm in school. So if all else fails, I can be a full-time student for a certain period of time and use my scholarships and things to help pay for things. So there's so many different avenues that I set up for myself to make sure that I'm good during these uncertain times. And as you're doing that, then that stress will start to relieve, because yeah, I'm living in uncertain times, but I'm being proactive. I'm using my resources. I'm building relationships. I'm making sure that I have the right things in place. I'm setting up my finances. I reduced my monthly budget, just thinking, like, so there's so many things that you can do, and those are the things that I can control, right? I can't control the fact that my job, the company laid off 11,000 people. I can't control that, right? So I can't sit in of course I have to grieve, right? I have to grieve that process, but I can't sit and complain and cry about it for a long period of time. Eventually I have to take all of that energy I'm putting into me trying to fix that situation into finding solutions. So, a lot of times if we spend a lot of time complaining and energy on us just being frustrated and sad and depressed about it, and if we just shifted that energy to productivity and proactiveness, it would make things make it easier to navigate, but also it will make that feeling of failure, or that feeling of I don't know what's happening, or that feeling of I don't know what to do, it will shift that to what can I do? What are the solutions? Who do I know? It just kind of changes, with your thought process and your mindset. So understand, even in uncertainty, you are worthy of peace and stability. And the way that you create that is by removing yourself and your mindset from what you cannot change and shifting it to what you can change and what you can control. That's where the peace, that's where the worth, that's where the stability, that's where the contentment comes from when it comes to navigating uncertain times. And last but not least, I believe in my capacity to create positive outcomes, even in times of uncertainty. I believe in my capacity to create positive outcomes, even in times of uncertainty. I'll say that again. I believe in my capacity to create positive outcomes, even in times of uncertainty. So, understanding and taking number 5 a step further to say, I am worthy, and I am worthy of peace and stability during these uncertain times, but also I can believe in the capacity or my abilities to create a positive outcome from this situation. Just because uncertain times come doesn't mean that it's going to be a negative outcome. And a lot of times we think just because uncertainty comes, it's an automatic failure, it's an automatic mistake, it's an automatic, pivot, because it's not even necessarily always going to be a pivot, but understanding that you can still create a positive outcome out of a uncertain time. It's kind of like you can take lemons and make lemonade. Just trying to figure out what positives can come out of this and what outcome can come out of this. The positive outcome may not even be the outcome you want. It could still be a positive outcome. It just may not be the outcome that you anticipated or wanted. And just because it's not the outcome that we thought it was going to be, doesn't mean that it's not a positive outcome. A lot of times people, when it comes to these uncertain times, when it comes to people or individuals, it may remove that person from your life. And you may think, oh, like, this is not a positive outcome. This isn't what I thought it was going to be. But in the end, it actually ended up being a positive outcome, because now that that person has been removed, now you're able to breathe. Now that you have peace, now you have contentment, now you have some clarity, now you have insight into what your next steps should be. And I think that we have to think outside of the box when we think about what positive outcomes will look like, or what there will be. Because a lot of times we get so frustrated and upset about how things played out, simply because of the fact that it wasn't what we thought it would be. Um, so just keeping that in mind, that that beautiful positive outcome may not be what you thought it was, doesn't mean that it's not positive, and doesn't mean that it wasn't good for you. So that was number 6. I believe in my capacities to create positive outcomes even in times of uncertainty. So I hope that was helpful. I'm gonna go back to the top, just so that way you have all of these. And of course, like always, this live will be saved. Number 1, I embrace uncertainty as an opportunity to ugh, I embrace uncertainty as an opportunity for growth and learning. Number 2, I am resilient, capable, and resourceful in the face of uncertainty. Number 3, I release the need to control and face uncertainty with an open heart and mind. Number 4, I am stronger than my doubts and fears, and I face uncertainty with courage. Number 5, I am worthy of peace and stability even during uncertain times. And number 6, I believe in my capacity to create positive outcomes even in times of uncertainty. So I hope that these were helpful. I hope that when it comes to managing uncertainty, that this has given some additional insight. And if there's any questions, definitely like drop them in the comments, because I know managing uncertainty is an uncertainty. Managing uncertainty is definitely not easy. And if you don't have the tools for it, if it's something that is a huge fear for you, anytime that change comes, or anytime that you're forced to be in, outside of your comfort zone, I know that can create a lot of anxiety for people. I know that it can create depression. It can create hopelessness too in certain instances. So I know that this isn't a light matter. But I hope that this was helpful. I hope this brings some clarity. Again, if you have any questions, or you're not quite sure or didn't understand some of the things that I talked about, definitely drop those questions in the comments. And again, this will be saved. If you have any ideas or topics that you would like to hear from me on our weekly lives, definitely let me know. Also drop those in the comments. And if you haven't already, check out my book, Not Self, Let Me Be Great. It is an inspiration and workbook that I do not have near me right now. No, I don't. But the link is in the bio. So definitely check that out if you're looking for a book on that covers self-doubt, especially one that has a workbook. You all have a great rest of your night. I will see you next Monday. You will have new meditations this week. Last week got crazy because I had like so many papers due and a whole bunch of craziness last week. So you will have new meditations this week. Look out for those either Wednesday or Friday. You guys have a great night, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye. You're welcome, Hiro. Thank you.